All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We're in the final class of August of 2023 and the final live class before I have left knee replacement. So check it out. You can see how crooked my knee is. I tend to stand in front of the camera like this, so you can't quite see that crooked knee, but we're going to get this thing replaced and fixed and repaired soon. So today we are working on a little bit more vibrant practice, focusing on our warrior poses, strong lower body, good strong core, and then using some upper body movements to work on posture, pulling the shoulder blades together, opening up through the chest. So I have a chair as an option. I know some of you like to use that for a downward facing dog. So when we go to the mat for down dog, you can do your down dog on a chair. I also have a block for some of the poses. So come to the top of your mat where you're going to face that direction. Bring your feet either hips distance apart or close together and really focus on a good tall posture. We'll take a breath in and reach the arms up. As you exhale, pull the shoulder blades back and the elbows and lift your heart up to the ceiling. A little baby back bend in cactus arms. Reach back up, inhale, and then exhale the arms down and pull them back behind you. A little bit of an airplane arm position. So we'll breathe in as the arms come up. Breathe out into our cactus arms with an optional baby back bend. Breathe in to reach back up. Breathe out to pull the arms back into airplane. In an airplane, you can have your palms turned any direction that you want, or you can just kind of vary that a little bit. Breathe in, stretch up. Exhale, cactus arms, back bend. Inhale, reach. Exhale, airplane arms. One more time, just like this. Now, next time we do this with our airplane arms, we'll add a little bit of a forward bend. So come down with me here. Make sure it's in a comfortable range of motion. You can have your knees bent or straight, nice flat back. Inhale, come up. Exhale, goalpost or cactus arms, optional back bend. Inhale, reach. Exhale, airplane arms with this little bit of a bow forward to start to lengthen the hamstrings. And let's go at your own pace with your breath. And if anything isn't feeling comfortable in your shoulders or your lower back or anywhere, I want you to modify this sequence. It's designed to start to center our practice and ground, to bring our awareness to our breathing, to really warm up the shoulders in all directions, to warm up through the lower back a little bit as we come into extension, through the hips as we come into that little bit of a forward bend. And one more time. And just rise up to your mountain pose. If you want, close your eyes for a second, just check in. Maybe take a moment to set an intention for your practice. And what does that mean? It's a little bit of goal setting. What do I intend to gain from my practice today? And you don't need to have an intention. You can open your mind and your heart and your body just to receive anything that comes to you today as well. Let's bring our palms to heart center. Sit into chair pose. Drop the hips back. Keep the chest up. Try not to bend over in your chair. So that would be more of a bowing chair. Keep your chest up, nice and strong. And we'll flow through our chair pose, keeping the palms of the hands together. So inhale to reach up, maybe that baby back bend. Exhale, pull the thumbs into the heart, sit into chair. So this is a traditional squat. We're warming up through the hips and the knees, the shoulders as we lift our arms up any amount. And then I'd like to take that warm up into the spine a little bit more by adding a twist. So we'll come up, reach, sit into chair and twist to the right side, looking over that shoulder, and reach up, twist to the left side. Now my knees are not bending as much as I would like, so I'm not touching my elbow across the thigh, but if you have a deeper knee bend, you can sit it down and really bring that elbow across. So whatever range of motion works for you and your joints. Let's do 2 more on each side, right side and left. Last one to that left side, and we'll finish together by coming right back down to the middle and holding our chair pose. So stay here stable in chair and just shift by lifting up your right heel. So now you have the ball of the foot connected. Set it back down and lift the left heel. It's like you're taking a little walk in your chair pose. The rest of your body stays really stable. Now, if you need to come up out of this at any time to take a break, feel free to do that. Otherwise, when we walk our chair pose with the right heel up, we'll twist to that right side. And then when we lift our left heel up, we'll twist to the left. You can keep your palms at heart center, or as you go to the right, reach across and wrap. So my left hand is across my right knee, my right arm is behind my back. And then I'm just going to wrap around the other way. So let's do this one more time on each side, making sure that you feel comfortable with this movement. And then each time we come out of it, we'll lift up, stretch, sit into chair, lifting up the right heel and rotate. Reach back up, lift the left heel, rotate left. Now you don't have to lift that heel up. If you feel more comfortable just keeping both feet grounded, you can keep both heels down and just wrap into your twisting chair. 2 more on each side. One more right and left. Then come back to your chair right in the center. Palms can be at your heart, or maybe your arms are lifted up a little higher, out in front. Any comfortable position for your shoulders. Now we'll start to come into a half forward fold, and you can use your chair right here to support and come about halfway down. So you'll notice my back is pretty parallel to the floor and to the ceiling. It's nice and flat. If you're not using a chair, your fingertips go right here to your shins. Now we're going to do the same thing we just did in chair pose. We'll lift the right heel up, set it down, the left heel up. And I like the chair for support with this one. It's really nice. Nothing else is moving in my body except for this plantar flexion of one foot, which causes the knee to come forward and bend. One more each side. Right heel lifts and left heel lifts. Now, when your right heel lifts, you'll twist to the right, and you can either reach this right arm up, or you can just place your hand at your hip and then come back down. Left heel lifts, and we'll twist. Alternating sides at your own pace. Now, I like this in a half lift position, but it also can be done in a lower forward fold. So as you keep going, I'm going to show a demonstration using my block, coming down a little lower, twisting here. I've got my block at the highest position, but we can also take our block down to the medium. Now I'm really getting a stretch here as I'm coming down deeper. Some of you might even be able to touch the floor with your bottom hand. Let's do 2 more each side, making any adjustments, modifications that suit you. One more each side, and it's a nice flow, not too fast, not too slow, just a rhythmic movement. And we'll come to center and hold our forward fold. Hands can be on your chair, down on your block, on your shins, or we can come all the way forward any amount and get a nice good stretch. And then soften your knees a little bit. Rise back up to your chair pose, any position with your arms you like. And then we'll come into flight of the bird. So we'll just tap the right foot back a little bit and open the arms into our cactus or goal post. Then you'll step back into chair. Then take your left foot, tap it back, open your heart, inhale, and step in. Now, the amount you step back is entirely up to you. You can take a bigger step back into a nice high crescent lunge and then step in, or you can make this very small for your balance. We're really pulling the elbows back in those cactus arms to open up the chest. This is a great balance pose. 2 more on each leg. Keep your core braced. 1 more on each leg. Holding your chair briefly. Press the palms if you have hands at heart center. So create some intention in those muscles, your chest and shoulders and biceps. And then rise back up to mountain, pulling the shoulder blades back, check in. That brought my heart rate up a little bit. So nice dynamic work through those poses. Sit back into your chair pose. And then we'll take the right foot and step it back to warrior 1. So we're going to take it back quite a bit and plant the heel down to the mat and keep the chest facing the front of your mat or your chair. And then bring your left hand to your hip. Your right arm reaches up toward the ceiling. And take a nice stretch over to your left side. Our goal is to open up the right hip flexor. And you're gaze can be neutral, down, or even to challenge your balance more, you can look up toward the top hand. One more breath here with our side bend. Come back up. Reach both arms lifted. And then you'll start to pivot your body to the right to warrior two. So your arms start to open out and your foot needs to adjust on that right foot. So you might have to slide it out a little bit more and hold that warrior two. So a couple things to think about is the placement of this leg. You want the knee and the ankle to be in pretty well alignment. The chest can be on an angle here. So if you pull your chest all the way this way and your knee starts to cave in, then bring your chest on a little bit of an angle as we hold this pose. Really tighten your glutes. Feel some engagement in your hips, inner and outer thighs. Look out toward that top hand or that left hand that's reaching out long. And then we'll shift into side angle pose. So we can support here on our thigh as we reach this right arm up toward the ceiling or even closer toward your ear and get a really good side stretch. Now what we don't want to do in this pose is to collapse down like this. This is okay. It's not wrong, but it's not the pose we're looking for, which is this side angle. So we want to keep the shoulders stacked, the hips stacked as we lengthen. And our gaze can go up. And this arm can also just place at our hip or even wrap behind our back for a different shoulder stretch. Pull yourself back up to your warrior two. Lengthen. Now when our arms are up, there's a tendency to hunch our shoulders. So really press down with your shoulders. And then we'll reverse our warrior. So this top hand here, or front hand, starts to reach up as we side bend the other direction. Our hand can be reaching toward the ceiling. We can start to send it back over toward the back foot to really open up this side of the waist. Gaze can be up or neutral, or we can look over our right shoulder toward that foot behind us. And we're opening up the waist, breathing into the rib cage. Now, just for about a minute, we're going to go back and forth between these two poses at your own pace. So start to reach out into side angle, and then pull yourself up into your reverse warrior. So from your hips down, nothing is moving. We're just side bending from the right to the left, using our core really strong. If shoulders are bothersome, maybe you bring your hands here and just use your waist to shift side to side. 30 seconds with this nice flow. Let's do one more each direction, side angle, then reverse warrior. Then we'll meet one another in warrior two. So we need to make our way back toward the top of the mat. So a good way is just to bring your hands at heart center. Start to take a little baby step in with this back foot. Turn your body forward. So you're back into warrior one. And then step your back foot into mountain. And let's just pause there for a moment. I'm really feeling a lot of opening in my hips from being in that open pose position for so long. If you need to shake out your legs a little bit, just move. And then find a nice, strong, solid position here in your mountain. Then sink into chair. Then we'll step that left foot way back behind any amount. Plant your heel down, square your hips. Warrior one. We'll bring our right hand to our hip. Our left hand reaches up, and we'll side stretch toward the right side to open up the left side waist and the left hip flexor. And this also shifts our body center of gravity, so we have to really brace our abs not to lose our balance here. And remember, it's a real challenge to look up toward your top hand. Maybe you want to try that. Or you can look over your shoulder toward the floor, or just toward the front of your mat out in front of you. One more breath. Come back up out of the side bend. Reach both arms. Then you'll start to pivot your body to the left, opening your arms out to your warrior two, and then adjust your stance. So I'm going to step my back foot back a little farther, turn your foot perpendicular to the long edge of your mat. Find a nice solid pose by bringing your front knee in alignment with your heel and ankle. Make sure your shoulder blades aren't shrugging up. So really mindfully press them down like you're making your neck longer. Then we'll shift into our side angle pose so the right hand can come down and support on the thigh or your elbow, and reach that arm either straight up to the ceiling or start to bring it closer to your ear for a deeper stretch. Now, some of you might be flexible enough to actually use your block and come down into this side angle pose really deeply, or your chair. So this is your range of motion here, what works best for you. Remember, arm positions, hand can go to your hip or behind your back for different stretches for that shoulder. All right, let's press back up to your warrior two. Gaze out over your right fingertips. Realign your spine to neutral. And then turn your right palm up. Shift into your reverse warrior. Now your left hand can be just on the outside of your leg, or you can wrap that hand behind your back. The fingertips can go right up to the sky, or we can start to send the fingertips toward that back leg a little bit. Breathing into the right side body, stable in your legs. And then return to warrior two. Find that solid stance in the lower body, nice and strong. And then for 1 minute, we'll flow between these two poses into our side angle. I'm just going to look over my shoulder at my little clock there. And then the other direction. You set the pace, you set the range of motion, you set the modifications to make this yours, where you are in your practice today on the mat. Breathing. One more on each pose. Then we'll meet in our warrior two, nice and strong, looking out over the right fingertips, shoulder blades down, abs pulled in. Then we'll need to come back toward the top of our mat. So press your palms together. Maybe take a baby step forward with your back foot. And then turn your body toward the top of your mat. Take a big step forward, back into mountain pose. Your arms can relax next to the sides of your body. Now let's come into down dog. So if you're using your chair, we'll inhale, reach up. Exhale, set the hands on top of the chair and walk the feet back behind you any amount, and let your chest sink down toward your thighs. If you're using the floor, let your hands come all the way down to the mat. Walk your feet back behind you. Press off your hands, drop your heels solidly down into the earth, lengthening the back of the legs, that posterior chain. So whether or not you're using the chair or the mat, we're going to alternate coming into three-legged dog, and that simply means lifting up one leg behind you, extending your heel out toward the opposite wall, or you can even lift the leg a little higher, and then lowering it back down to the mat. And lifting the other leg up any amount, and lowering it down. Nice and slow, right leg rises. Sink your left heel down toward the floor. Lower that right leg. Left leg rises, right heel drops. And coming down, let's get one more on each side. Strong and solid through the shoulder girdle. And come back down. Just hold your down dog either from the chair or the mat. 2 breaths. And then if you're using the chair, you can take a break in a forward bend. If you're on the mat, you can take a break in child's pose. So come on down and then just relax here for a second. This is a nice time just to roll your wrists around a little bit, especially if you were using the mat for your down dog, or to relax your shoulders. And then we're going to walk the dog like we did with our chair pose and our forward fold. So either hands back on the chair, back into your down dog, or hands on the mat, back to your down dog. And when we walk our dog, we'll lift the right heel up, pushing the left heel down, and then reversing. Left heel up, right heel down. Moving side to side. Now I have one more very advanced movement here if you'd like to try it. And you can do it either from the mat or to your chair. As your right heel comes up, you're going to pick the left hand off the ground and touch your left knee or twist across. And then place your left hand back down, switch, your left heel comes up, your right hand lifts off the mat, and you twist to the left. So let's work on this for about another 60 seconds, whichever option you're choosing here, and you don't have to pick your hand up off the mat. It's pretty challenging. Maybe you just try one on each side, and that's good for you today. 30 seconds to go. Let's do one more on each side with the right heel up and then the left. Then come back into your down dog, hands on the chair or on the mat. Press those heels way down. And then we'll rest Bringing the knees to the mat. If you're using the chair for your down dog, go ahead and come down to your mat and join us in a child's pose. I'll give you plenty of time to get on the mat here. Now this is the time when I like to have a little padding for my knees because we're going to be on our knees for a little bit. So if you need that as well, bring a little blanket in place. And we are going to work on our dragon pose today. This is a yin pose that's a nice hip opener. So to get into dragon, we'll come on up and take this right foot and we're going to step it up toward the right corner of our mat. So I'm just going to put both of my hands toward the left and bring my right foot and bring it way up there and then deeply bend my right knee. Now you can use your chair here to support. Stay nice and lifted. So dragon pose is done upright. So a block, hands on your thighs, hands down on the floor, wherever you want, but the chest is lifted. If you want to work a little balance, arms go up or at your heart. This is a stretch here through this right glute and through the front of the left hip. Then we move into sleeping dragon, where we come forward with our body and relax. So our elbows can come down to a block, to your mat, and we sink down into this as far as we can go comfortably with our range of motion. We're just here 30 seconds. If it feels better for you to stay up into regular dragon, that's okay too. Couple more breaths. And then rise back up out of your sleeping dragon to lift the chest. And we'll be taking this right leg back toward the left. So just place your hands in the middle there, sweep the leg around, bring your knees back together, and come back to your child's pose. And your hips will say thank you for that wonderful stretch. Let's try it on the other side. So your left foot's going to go up to that upper left corner of your mat. So you can keep both hands on the ground, bring that foot way forward. And then from here, we want to take this right hip and let it sink down. So sometimes the error with this pose is we're up here like this with our bottom side back. We want to drop our bottom down. Hands can be on our chair right in front of us, on a block, on the knee, or for balance, we can let go and really stretch here. So keep the chest up, that hip flexor stretching. And then our dragon's getting a little tired, so he's going to take a nap. Let's come down into our sleeping dragon. So what works for me is to bring my block and place my elbows right on top of it. And we'll be here in sleeping dragon 30 seconds. If you need to come out sooner, be aware of your body. Make changes as needed. Keep relaxing those hips. Allow them to sink down toward the floor a little bit more. And a couple more breaths. All right, let's get ready to bring that left foot back to meet the right. Brace with your hands, pull that leg back. Come into your child's pose. So we are going to do that one more time on each side, and I'm going to give you the option to lift up off your back knee, which will be more of a challenge for your balance. So again, we'll bring the right foot up to the upper right corner of your mat. Bring it up there. So you'll either be here again in dragon, or we can try tucking the back toe under to lift your back knee off the mat, and we're up standing. We can brace on the thigh, we can place hands to the heart, we can lift the arms. Now they're both good poses, they have different benefits. When my knee is down on the mat, I feel like I get more of a hip flexor stretch, but this is a lot more balance and leg strength here as I'm standing up. And then we'll bring this into our sleeping dragon. So we can just bring our upper body forward. We can place our hands on the chair here. We can bring our hands down to a block. Or there's a really fun challenge, if you so want to try it, and that's to bind your arms. So your right hand would come underneath your right leg, and your left arm would come over the top. And you see if you can reach your fingers together. Ooh, I haven't done this in a while. So I'm just going to hold it one more breath, and then I'm going to let it go because you've seen it. Nice. 15 more seconds. You can also just do a half bind where you just bring the left arm behind your back. 2 more breaths. And then if your back knee is off the floor, just simply let it come down, and then take your right leg back, coming into your child's pose. Ooh, that was super intense. Okay, we know what's coming on the other side, so let's get ready. Left foot steps toward the upper corner of your mat, left side. Our first option is just to stay here in this low dragon with our knee down. Or we can tuck that back foot under and lift up into our high lunge. Let's see how my knee does to support me here. Sometimes with this bone-on-bone arthritis, it's really strange. You'll be kind of in a position, and then all of a sudden the knee just, it feels like it slips. And it's maybe about, I don't know, just a minuscule amount, but it wants to shift and not stay where you have it placed. But I feel like my muscles are really helping this pose, so I'm feeling pretty good here. So far, those muscles are staying strong. Okay, let's try our sleeping dragon. Oh, I felt it slip just a little bit, just in time to come down. So we can bring our hands down to the floor. I'm not going to try the full bind on this side. I don't trust my knee enough. So I'm just going to do a half bind, which is to put my right arm behind my back. I'm just going to lift my left hand off the floor for a second. Okay, I got it partially anyway. And let's breathe just a few more seconds. That right knee can always go down. One more breath. And then if your right knee's up off the mat, we're going to let it come down, finding the mat. Take your left foot back into our child's pose. Ooh. Now we'll come into our pigeon stretch on each side. Some of you I know like to do pigeon in this same position, which is the one I'm going to give. If that doesn't work for you, then right now I want you to roll over onto your back, for a figure 4, if you know that that works best for you. I need to have some blanket support for my hip in pigeon, so I'm going to have that available. So in pigeon, a couple ways we can get there. If you want to come back up into your down dog and bring your knee forward, that's a great way. You can just kind of roll over onto your side on your right hip and bring that right knee forward. And then I'm going to place my little blanket here underneath my right hip to help support. So this is a great hip opener. Our right knee is up toward the right corner of our mat. Our right foot is over to the left side of our mat, so our leg's on a little bit of an angle. And pigeon is also known in yin yoga as swan. And so we'll stay upright in our first swan. Just lifting the chest, getting settled into the pose. And then if you'd like, whenever you're ready, you can come into sleeping swan by lowering down and folding yourself over that leg. And we are going to stay here 1 minute. If you're on your back for figure 4, you're crossing your right ankle over your left thigh and you're pulling your knees up toward your chest to get the same benefit, the same stretch, without as much pressure or rotation on your knee. And really try to slow your breathing down, relax into this deep stretch. If you're in sleeping swan and you need to press back up, you certainly can. Or if you need to come out of the pose all together, great. That's right about at our minute's time. So we'll start to press up. So if you're on your back, you can just uncross the ankle, maybe do some windshield wiper legs. If we're here on the mat, a couple ways we can get out of it. We can swing this back leg around, or we can press up into our hands and take this back into our down dog. And then just start to figure out the best way for your body how to get to the other side. I'm going to bring my left knee forward and set my left hip on the blanket, which I'm going to fold another time because this knee isn't bending as well for me. Ooh, that feels pretty good. All right, roll those hips forward. Stay upright for your first few breaths. I might like to use my block here to press myself up a little bit more. Beautiful. And then let's move into our sleeping swan. Take your time to come down. I'm using a block for my forehead, but you can also bring it all the way to the mat if it reaches, or you can stack your fists one on top of each other and rest your forehead there. It just helps you to relax a little bit more in your upper body if your head is supported. All right, we're 1 minute. Again, if you're on your back, you're going to cross your left ankle over your right thigh and pull those knees up toward your chest, opening up that left hip. And we're looking about another 15 seconds, a couple more really deep breaths. And then if you're on your back in figure 4 stretch, that's where we're going to go to next, so you can stay there. Those of you that are in my position in pigeon, we're just going to swing the right leg around to the front, and we'll come down onto our backs. Take your time to get nice and comfy there. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And then we are going to do a rooted twist. Actually, I'm going to grab my block because I might need my block next to my body for this rooted twist. Now, if the rooted twist isn't feeling good, then you can just keep your legs stacked together and twist your knees over to the side. But for our rooted twist, our legs come into an eagle position. Actually, sometimes it's called twisted root. So we'll bring the knees up to table. Take the right leg and cross it over the left above the knees. And then you're just going to try to wrap the right foot behind the left ankle. Now, this is sometimes hard to get this position. So if the foot doesn't wrap, that's okay. Just bring it wherever it is. You just have the right knee crossed over the left thigh. Now, our knees are going to go to the left. So this right leg that's in front will be the one that's on top in the twist. I'm going to start to place my foot on the ground and then drop the knees over to the side. Your arms can be in cactus or goalpost arms or out to the side airplane arms. We try to get this right shoulder blade to connect with the mat, and I do have my knees resting on my block. And this feels like a big stretch in my right pectoral muscle and shoulder, a little bit in my hips and my waistline. Your head can remain neutral, or you can pick it up a little bit and look to the right side for that spiral twist with your cervical spine. Two more breaths here. And then if your head is turned, we can bring that back to center first. And then you can unhook your foot from behind your left ankle and let your legs come right back to the center. Uncross the right leg and you're back to both feet on the mat. Now my hips feel a little bit shifted, so I'm just going to pick my hips up and get them back in a neutral spot. Okay, remember, if you don't like the twisted root, you can just drop your knees over to the right. Otherwise, we'll bring our knees up into table. Take this left leg and cross it over, and then see if you can wrap your left toes behind your right ankle. And kind of a hint, the closer your knees are up toward you, the easier that is to get that position. And try to squeeze your inner thighs a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring my block over to this side because our knees will go to the right. And first of all, I'm going to bring my foot down toward the floor and then drop my knees over. So my feet are supported on the mat. They're not dangling up in the air. And then arms can go to goalpost. There's that stretch through the left pec. Trying to keep that left shoulder blade down on the mat. And you can pick up your head if you want and turn it to the left side. I'm going to keep mine neutral because that kind of messes with my microphone in my left ear. All right, now let's breathe and hold. Two more deep breaths. And then you can let the left foot come out from behind the right ankle. Pull your knees back to the midline. And uncross that left leg. Back to feet right on the mat. Make any adjustments with your spine. And then we'll take the left leg long onto the mat. Bring the right knee up to table or even pull it in toward your chest. You can also lengthen that leg up any amount. A little bit of a knee to nose. You can curl your head and shoulders up. You can climb the hands up the leg, pull yourself up, pull your abs in. And then if the head's up, relax it down, rebend the knee, lower the leg. And then we'll switch the legs. So your left foot comes in, your right leg goes long. Pull this leg in toward your chest as option 1. Unfold the leg any amount as option 2. Lift the head and shoulders, focusing on your core. Climb the hands up. Breathing. Head comes back down. The knee rebends. The foot finds the mat. And then place both feet on the mat, bringing your soles together and let both knees open apart for our Baddha Konasana. And just soften through your inner thighs and your glutes and your hips. And I'm just going to ask for something a little special from you all right now, is to pull our positive thoughts together for my procedure coming up. I feel your support, I feel your love, and I feel your positivity. I'd just like to pause for a second, just in quiet meditation, and I'm just going to absorb all that from you right now in every cell of my being. And thank you all so much for your love and your support, everything that you give me. It's really going to carry me through these challenging weeks. And let's prepare to close our practice together by coming to a comfortable seat. We'll close the knees together. And whatever way feels best for you to come up, you can roll to a side or bring one leg or both legs toward your chest and roll yourself up to seated. And we'll sit tall and confident, taking a nice side stretch over to the right side. Pull that right shoulder blade back or left shoulder blade, send your gaze up. And then we'll switch. Pulling right shoulder blade back, rotating your head to the sky. And come to center. Finishing with a full breath in. Press the palms. And bring thumbs all the way to our heart for our Anjali Mudra. That unified sign and symbol of gratitude. And I am so grateful for all of you. And that positive light and joy that resides within me honors the positive light and joy in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have a chance to stay on with me, that would be fantastic. If not, those of you that are on my LisaBug community list, I expect to get a list of classes for you all to do on that email by sometime tomorrow or over the weekend, and get you going starting next week with your on-demand YouTube list of classes to do. So, all right. I think Jitsi shut us off, so I think we're good that way. If you can't stay, I love you guys so much. If you can, that would be great. All righty, let's bring us up in the gallery mode. And all right.